And now it's time for Mrs. Litt's Treehouse. Hi boys and girls, welcome back to Mrs. Litt's Treehouse. Today I thought it'd be fun to start from up here on my deck. Do you want to look at my treehouse from way up here? Come on, let's look around the yard. See if you can find it. Can you find my treehouse? Oh, there it is. Why don't you zoom in a little closer so you can see it? Well, listen. I wanted to take you up there today and read you a book about a little squirrel. And his name is Nutkin, and he is a very sassy squirrel. So, let's go. I'll meet you up there, okay? Okay, so today I was thinking that I would let you start at the very bottom of the ladder so that you can see how high it is, because I think that you're old enough now that you're not going to be scared anymore. Do you want to try it? Come on, Daniela. Come on down here with me. We're going to start all the way at the bottom, and let's see. Oh, there we go. Look, all the way up there. Liana, can you make it? Let's do it. Here we go. Climb up carefully, one rung at a time. Hold on tight. Here we go. We're almost at the top. Oh, wow. Look at the clouds. Do you see the clouds through the trees? Oh, I'm so excited. See, that wasn't so scary, was it? That was super easy. Oh, how pretty. Let's look all the way around. It's a nice sunny day. Okay, well, I'm ready for a good story. So I'm going to give the camera to Mr. Littikainen. And I think we're ready to read. So this story is called Squirrel Nutkin. And I want you to come over here because I think that worked really well before when you looked over my shoulder, didn't it? Can you see it? Come in closer. Oh, come in. Oh, there you go. The Tale of Squirrel Nutkin by Beatrix Potter. Look at him. Isn't he silly? I think that's how Bee would dance if she was a squirrel. Oh, look at the pictures. Do you know that Beatrix Potter was not only the author, she was also the illustrator? And can you see any pictures on this page that look familiar to you? Look a little closer. See right down here? There's Benjamin Bunny. Here's Flopsy and Mopsy and Cottontail. But who do you suppose is right over here? That's right, it's Peter Rabbit. Oh my goodness, I love Peter Rabbit. Well, let's go ahead and begin reading, and let's turn the page. The Tale of Squirrel Nutkin by Beatrix Potter. And look, there he is. This is a tale about a tail. A tail that belonged to a little red squirrel, and his name was Nutkin. He had a brother called Twinkleberry, and a great many cousins, and they lived in a wood at the edge of a lake. There's the lake. Let's turn the page. In the middle of the lake, there is an island covered with trees and nut bushes. And amongst those trees stands a hollow oak tree, which is called the house of an owl who is called Old Brown. There's Old Brown right there. And look at his big, giant oak tree. Look, they cut a little door in it, and he has a little window. And if you look right here, look at that, Liam. You can read the word oak because that's our vowel team for this week. O-A says O. And look at that one, Liam. Tree with the vowel team E-E. Oh my goodness, you guys are getting so big you can all read those two words, can't you? Let's keep going. One autumn when the nuts were ripe and the leaves on the hazel bushes were golden and green, Nutkin and Twinkleberry and all the other little squirrels came out of the wood and down to the edge of the lake. There they are, building little rafts. Turn the page. They made little rafts out of twigs, and they paddled away over the water to Owl Island to gather nuts. Each little squirrel had a little sack and a large oar and spread out his tail for a sail. Look at those tails. They look just like sails, don't they? Look, there's Owl Island, where they're going. Let's turn the page. They also took with them an offering of 3 fat mice as a present for Old Brown, and they put them down upon his doorstep. Then Twinkleberry and the other little squirrels each made a low bow and said politely, "Old Mr. Brown, will you favor us with permission to gather nuts upon your island?" For they were very polite little squirrels. But Nutkin was excessively impertinent, that means rude, in his manners, and he bobbed up and down like a little red cherry, singing, riddle me, rot-tot-tote, a little wee man in a red, red coat, a staff in his hand and a stone in his throat. If you'll tell me this riddle, I'll give you a groat." Now, this riddle is as old as the hills. Mr. Brown paid no attention whatever to Nutkin. He shut his eyes obstinately, and he went to sleep. Listen to the wind, everyone. Can you hear my treehouse creaking? Listen. It sounds like we're on a boat, doesn't it? The squirrels filled their little sacks with nuts, and they sailed away home in the evening. Let's turn the page. But next morning, they all came back again to Owl Island, and Twinkleberry and the others brought a fine fat mole and laid it on the stone in front of Old Brown's doorway and said, "Mr. Brown, will you favor us with your gracious permission to gather some more nuts?" Which is just a fancy way to say please. Let's keep going. But Nutkin, who had no respect whatsoever and definitely no manners, began to dance up and down, tickling Old Brown with a nettle and singing, "Old Mr. B, riddle me ree, hitty-pitty within the wall, hitty-pitty without the wall. If you touch hitty-pitty, hitty-pitty will bite you." Mr. Brown woke up suddenly and carried the mole into his house. I thought he was going to bite him, didn't you? He shut the door in Nutkin's face. Presently, a little thread of blue smoke from the wood fire came up from the top of the tree, and Nutkin peeped through the keyhole, and he sang, "A house full, a hole full, and you cannot gather a bowl full." He's still doing riddles. Do you think you should do that when someone has asked you not to? The squirrels searched for nuts all over the island, and they filled their little sack. But Nutkin gathered oak apples, yellow and scarlet, and he sat upon a beech stump, playing marbles and watching the door of old Mr. Brown. Look, there's Old Brown's door. Let's turn the page. On the 3rd day, the squirrels got up very early and went fishing. They caught 7 fat minnows as a present for Old Brown. Then they paddled over the lake and landed under a crooked chestnut tree on Owl Island. Do any of you like to fish? Do you like to fish, Adeline? I sure do. Sometimes I go fishing with my dad. Twinkleberry and 6 other little squirrels each carried a fat minnow, but Nutkin, who had no nice manners at all, brought no present, and instead he ran in front of the others singing, "The man in the wilderness said to me, how many strawberries grow in the sea? I answered him as I thought good, as many red herrings as grow in the wood." But old Mr. Brown took no interest in riddles, not even when the answer was provided for him. I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen to Nutkin. On the 4th day, the squirrels brought a present of 6 fat beetles, which were as good as plums and plum pudding for Old Brown. Each beetle was wrapped up carefully in a dock leaf and fastened with a needle pin. But Nutkin sang as rudely as ever. "Old Mr. B, riddle me ree, flower of England, fruit of Spain, met together in a shower of rain. Put in a bag tied round with a string. If you'll tell me this riddle, I'll give you a ring. Which was ridiculous of Nutkin because he did not have a ring to give to Old Brown. Would you like to eat a beetle, Sammy? I hope you don't eat a beetle. Put that beetle down, Sam. The other squirrels hunted up and down the nut bushes, but Nutkin gathered Robin's pin cushions off of a briar bush, and he stuck them full of pine needle pins. He's just goofing around, isn't he? It's okay to have fun, but he's not helping at all. Let's turn the page. On the 5th day, the squirrels brought a present of wild honey. It was so sweet and so sticky that they licked their fingers as they put it down upon the stone. They had stolen it out of a bumblebee's nest on the tippity top of the hill, but Nutkin skipped up and down, and this is what he sang. Hum-a-bum, buzz, buzz, hum-a-bum, buzz, as I went over Tippletine, I met a flock of bonny swine, some yellow-nacked, some yellow-backed, and they were the very bonniest swine that e'er went over Tippletine. Still being silly instead of helping. Let's turn the page. Old Mr. Brown turned up his eyes in disgust at the impertinence of Nutkin, but he did eat up the honey. Do you see Nutkin peeking around the corner? The squirrels filled their little sack with nuts, but Nutkin sat upon a big flat rock, and he played ninepins with a crabapple and green fir cones. Who knows what kind of game this is like right here? Do you see how they're sticking up nice and tall and thin, and then he's going to roll something to knock them down? Exactly, Sam. He's doing bowling with little pine cones. I love it. Let's turn the page. On the 6th day, which was Saturday, the squirrels came again for the last time, and they brought a new laid egg in a little rush basket as a last parting gift for Mr. Brown. But Nutkin ran in front, laughing and shouting. Humpty Dumpty lies in the beck, with the white counterpane round his neck. 40 doctors and 40 wrights cannot put Humpty Dumpty to rights. Let's turn the page. Now, old Mr. Brown, he took an interest in eggs, and he opened one eye and he shut it again. But still, he did not speak. Turn the page. Nutkin became more and more impertinent. Old Mr. B, hickamore, hackamore on the king's kitchen door. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't drive hickamore, hackamore off the king's kitchen door. And Nutkin danced up and down like a little sunbeam, but still Old Brown said nothing at all. Oh my goodness, I'm getting so nervous. Daniela, do you think he's gonna bite him? Nutkin began again. Arthur O'Bower had broken his band. He comes roaring up the land. The King of Scots with all his power cannot turn Arthur of the Bower. Nutkin made a whirring noise to sound like the wind, and then he took a running leap, and he jumped right on the head of Old Brown. Then, all at once, there was a flutterment and a scufferment and a loud squeak. The other squirrels scuttered away into the bushes. What do you think happened, Adeline? Let's see. When they came back very carefully, very cautiously, peeping around the tree, there was Old Brown sitting on his doorstep quite still, with his eyes closed, as if nothing had happened. But Nutkin was in his pocket. He was in his waistcoat pocket, Liam. Oh no, this doesn't look good for Nutkin. This looks like the end of the story, but it isn't. Look at Nutkin right there. Oh, he was being rude one last time, and he got in big trouble. Let's turn the page. Well, Old Brown carried Nutkin into his house. He held him up in the air by the tail, intending to skin him, but Nutkin pulled so very hard that his own tail broke in 2 pieces, and he dashed up the staircase and escaped out of the attic window right there. Look at his tail, everybody. Do you see how short it is, Eli? And where is the other piece of his tail? Who can find it? Exactly, Michael. It's right there in Old Brown's beak. Oh no. And to this day, if you meet Nutkin up in a tree and you ask him a riddle, he will throw sticks at you and stamp his little foot and scold and shout, the end. Well, that was a funny story. And I hope that if any of you ever eat a nice old owl, that you will never, ever be rude to him. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time in Mrs. Litt's treehouse. Bye-bye.